so cool. This is just seriously so cool. I'm really, really delighted to be here. I've been so excited and looking forward to this. In getting ready for this conversation and this event, my husband, because I'm going to be talking about AI, as Rob said, my husband said, you really have to make sure that you tell the audience what a huge Terminator fan you are. Because it is kind of ironic. You're coming up here as an AI optimist, and you believed in Skynet. So that's kind of my segue into this. I'm actually going to remake Terminator and call it Wired for Impact, and HR are going to be the heroes. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. The reason why I say that is I could see when I started to understand AI at the beginning of last year and all of the media started and all the different potential that was coming out, that there were two different ways of looking at this. One is AI for HR, how could it improve our HR lives? And the other one is HR for AI. What can HR do for AI? And that's really where I want to be able to focus on today, because I'm not sure you, as a group of HR professionals, are fully getting the opportunity that's there. And to me, it's more than just an opportunity, it's almost an obligation. It's an imperative. So, in the past 12 months, I have been talking to business leaders and HR leaders about what their own understanding of AI is, because it's just come along so fast. It's been very hard to keep up with. So I'm really curious to know where this audience is at today. So I'd like to see a show of hands for everybody who has tried ChatGPT or any of the other generative AI platforms. So keep your hands up. Okay, so a large portion of you. Now, how many of you think you understand AI and feel like you have a good handle on it? Come on, be honest. If you think you have a good handle on it. Okay. How many of you know what a large language model is and does? Okay. So for the people who have tried ChatGPT, did you know that that is a large language model? Yeah? Did you know it? A few of you. Okay. Thus frames the problem. 12 months ago, when I started asking HR leaders and business leaders what their level of understanding was, I was seeing less than half having tried it, and all of that group who hadn't tried it, there was a very strong correlation of people who were afraid of it. Either afraid it's going to take jobs, or my children are going to become lazy learners, or there's going to be some kind of extinction event where humankind is going to get nuked by Skynet. So in the past 12 months, where I've seen that evolve, is almost everybody has tried it, but the lack of understanding hasn't come along with it. And that is a problem in HR that we urgently have to be able to fix. I'm now freaking out, but I'm not. This is all good. I'm actually so excited to be here with you. So I was going to throw up those questions, and now I'm back to my point, so sorry about that. But I'm allowed to be nervous, right? I'm allowed to be nervous, because I wanted to be on the stage to bring this message to you, because I feel so passionately about this. So not understanding what AI can do is such an urgent problem. And with that in mind, I'm going to tell you a story. So I was teasing Steve Rollins earlier this morning when I met him, because I was reading about his storytelling, and I rewrote my presentation a couple of days ago because I decided I didn't have enough stories. So apologies, I'm still getting my stories down straight. So imagine, if you will, Karen. She is a purpose-led CPO who is very effective, very experienced. She's sitting in an executive board meeting with her C-suite to explore the potential of AI in her organization. And as the conversation starts to move into AI technical jargon and the strategic implications of using AI, her confidence starts to wane. The conversation that they're having around the table is, How can AI actually, what impacts is it going to have on our organization structure? How is it going to actually improve or change workflows? What can it do for us in terms of employee experience? How can it take talent acquisitions even further? All of these are in HR's wheelhouse. But yet, her lack of understanding of AI means her normally very vocal, powerful, insightful voice, talk about the voice at the table, her voice doesn't come out to the table. And she has a sudden realization. If she doesn't deepen her understanding of AI, not only may she may not be continuing to be the agility enabler that she's always prided herself on being, she may actually lose her seat at the table, which we've now reframed as her voice at the table. And this is at a time when HR being at the table is looking at roles, org structures, employee experience. The amount of impact that AI is going to have is absolutely enormous for us, so our voice is absolutely critical to have. While her story is fictitious, show me an HR leader that hasn't been there. Being in HR is tough. It's really tough. We have, in our day jobs now, everything that we've been talking about, DE&I, wellness, attraction, retention, employee experience. And there's that little thing called transformation that I love working with my clients on that just absolutely almost overwhelms us as a tsunami. With all of that we have on our plates already, AI started coming down the tracks last year, and it just won't stop coming. No matter how much we're trying to ignore it, no matter how much we say, I'll get to it later, it just won't stop coming. But not understanding it is absolutely critical for us. And the reason being, your employees are already using it. Your data and your privacy and your IP are at risk of going into the public domain. And the biggest worry for me, if those two weren't enough for you, if you don't start using AI now on a small trial and test basis, you're going to lose the opportunity to build the AI muscle. And the organizations who are trialing it and testing it are going to get that little bit of productivity improvement, that bit more efficiency that continues to increase through each iteration, and they're going to be ahead from a competitive advantage, and the laggards are going to be left behind. So you need to actually get started now. That might sound a little bit alarmist right after lunch. And you're all coming back going, oh my gosh, I definitely have been doing this and I've got so much to try to catch up on. I've heard a lot today also about people being burnt out. I think HR is burnt out. I think HR is tired. We worked everything's off during COVID. We're still working and we're still not getting it quite right. And now we have to try to figure out AI, which by all accounts is going to be the biggest disruption any of us have ever faced in our lifetimes, and it is going to be pervasive and huge in our organizations. So I'm going to say to you, this is the best time ever to be in HR. Gosh, you can hear a pin drop, that's great. You all think I'm probably mad, but that's great, because I heard with one of my clients in the past couple of weeks that MAD stands for making a difference. So I'd like to think that I am mad, because I am absolutely determined to be able to make a difference when it comes to this. And the good news is, you haven't missed the boat quite yet. There's still a chance to be able to figure this out and actually start to trial and test this on, a small enough scale that's low enough risk that's not massive cost. So I've given you a little bit of a fictitious story of Karen. Let me tell you a little bit about my own story. As an ex-CPO, I know none of you wants to be in that position where you feel like you aren't in the right place to be able to bring the value that you're capable of. So when it comes to AI, the reason why we're struggling so often in a boardroom, a meeting room, even conference calls, is because we don't have the data that we need at our fingertips. The analytics that we need to really help an organization make the strategic decisions that I imagine most of you signed up as the reason to go into HR in the first place, is to be able to strategically impact where the organization is going and what the experience of the employee is. But without real-time data, and without the sentiment analysis of how our employees are feeling, and without the ease that's going to come with AI of actually taking some of the mundane work off of our desks, think about how much time HR spends doing transactional work, fixing Stephanie Prenderville spelled wrong from one database into another database. One PPS number is missing, and then the whole headcount report can't get run. Being able to have our data be in a provisional place, a usable place, it's what's going to make a huge difference. Right now, when we walk into boardrooms, we try to look really cool. We try to look like we're totally on top of it. We've had a team of people working day and night for a month to try to get that information there, and somebody at that table asks us a question that's the one question we didn't anticipate. AI is giving us the promise that we're going to be able to have that data at our fingertips, that we'll just be able to use our phones. Now, we're a good ways off from that. But the decisions in terms of how that real-time data, it's been such a fantasy land for so long. Imagine if you had that right now. Think about the conversations and the voice you would be bringing to the table. And if you don't understand AI, how can you bring that voice when those decisions are being taken? So, we talked about being a bit burnt out. When I started looking into this last year, I could see the potential for AI in HR to improve the sentiment analysis that I've mentioned, the transactions, the effectiveness. But I also saw HR's power to create real value in the organization in a way that we've never done before. I actually think hybrid was almost a warm-up in comparison to where we are now with AI. The reason why I think that is that I think HR can have an impact at an organization level. And I dove straight into AI last year to really try to understand how it works and what it could do for an organization. So I then started going to hackathons. I'd never been to a hackathon before. I started going to prompt engineering courses. I started talking tech with cyber gurus. I got my diploma from UCD in AI. And I now am proud to say that I have a group of techies all around the world that I regularly communicate with. And I even had a computer scientist protect me from getting mugged, which I'll tell you about another time. So from my journey to understanding AI, I've been able to distill it down into two sides of the coin. On one side, you still definitely have the risk of your IP, your data going into the cloud, going into public domain, not being compliant, or Skynet actually happening. On the other hand, you have the potential for all that efficiency that's going to unlock productivity and creativity. And the probability of that happening is far, far greater than the probability of the negatives. We can manage these risks. We can optimize these possibilities. To do that, HR needs to understand what it's doing. It needs to understand how AI works. That's going to be the only way that you guys can actually be the enablement leaders I know you're capable of being, and I know that you want to be able to be. I'm probably way behind on my slides. No, I'm not. There has never been a better time to be in HR. And the reason why I keep saying that is because HR is best placed in the organization to see the whole organization and bring this kind of leadership from the very top. We write the job descriptions. We hire the people. We help them write their performance objectives. We help the managers write the performance reviews. We help the managers actually determine what the remuneration is going to be. And we understand the culture. There's no part of the organization that we don't understand how it works in terms of how work gets done and the commercial reality of it. Who better place than HR to actually drive AI enablement? Who better to leverage connecting AI to our vision, mission, and values specifically for our organization and not just chasing AI for the sake of the technology? This is the time when HR needs to have its voice, and it's the time that it's most needed at the C-suite table. One of my favorite quotes from last year is, "AI won't take your job, but the people who know it will." What that statement is really trying to say is that the people who know AI are going to have an advantage. And HR has a unique position within the organization that if it doesn't take the opportunity and grab that advantage, we're going to have missed the boat. Because the decisions are going to get taken at the table around what the org structure looks like, on what we can do for employee experience, on how we're going to change how we recruit people, how we actually support managers in their development so that they start to know how to manage people and machines alongside of each other. So we need to be able to have both of those hand in hand. And I realize that I'm a little bit tight on time, and Rob is looking at me. There has never been a better time to be in HR, so let me actually give you just a couple of pointers before I get pulled off of the stage here. So, sorry, I get excited about the topic and I got nervous. Think big. Think about how big the role is that HR can play in this and how pervasive I've just described these impacts as being. The common point of intersection and the common point of actioning is through people. And that's where HR's role comes in. What are some of the things that you can do in 2024, practical things that you can do? I've got 6 or 7. I'll go through them really fast. Leadership first, not tech first. Get your leadership teams on the same page. Get them to look at how AI can leverage your vision, mission, and your values, your customer experience, your employee experience. It's not about chasing AI for the sake of AI. Go leadership first and get on the same page. Establish a policy and governance. Protect your IP, protect your data. Never put your personal details, your family's details, your employees' details, your company name in a public GPT. Build the AI muscle. Trial and learn from it. Build that muscle while you still have the opportunity to be ahead of the curve. Pilot in HR. CPOs, HR directors, HR managers, go first. Take your job description, look at AI, figure out what 10% you can bring AI into your role so that you can actually improve on it. Create and foster a culture that enables AI and doesn't inhibit AI. If you have a low-tech adoption culture to start off with and nobody's using any of your HR tech or any of the other systems you have in your organization, AI is not going to be as successful. Start to shift that culture now. Prepare the organization for radical transformation. It's bigger than anything we've ever seen before. Get them emotionally ready for this and help them start to trust what AI can do for them as an augmentation partner. And get on top of your data. The data you have, the data you need, what quality it's in, and the gap that's there, and start working on improving it while you're figuring out what your use cases are. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to create the space, be the agility enablers that I know that you can be, run HR like a business, which is to create real value and not be a cost center. Start small and start now. HR have superpowers that AI can help us to be even more human because it's going to give us more time and it's going to give us more of what we need. The empathy, the curiosity, the agility, the collaboration. There's never been a better time to be able to be in HR. And there's never been a better time to be human and to be in human resources. So thank you very much.